Well, according to the latest Snowden leaks, the NSA is monitoring the entire world, and that is including the Five Eyes countries that the U.S. has long had a no spying agreement with. Now, that obviously isn't really that much of a surprise at this point. But what is surprising is that Glenn Greenwald was set to release his most shocking NSA revelations to date. He was going to be releasing the names of those that the NSA has been spying on. Well, earlier today, Greenwald tweeted that he would be publishing the story tonight at midnight, and then 8 hours later, he tweeted that after 3 months working on our story, the U.S. government today suddenly began making new last-minute claims which we intend to investigate before publishing. Now, many responded that it's a trap and that the government is dishonestly and illegally censoring Greenwald. At the same time, whistleblowing site Cryptome announced that all of the Snowden documents will be released in July, and they say supposedly in order to avert a war. Cryptome tweeted on its official feed, "July is when war begins unless headed off by Snowden, full release of crippling intel. After war begins, not a chance of release. Warmongers are on a rampage. So yes, citizens holding Snowden docs will do the right thing." So what exactly are these documents that they are set to release? Now, this isn't what Glenn Greenwald had been working on. He said he was only going to be releasing the documents that concerned American citizens and what they needed to be aware of that their government was up to. He didn't want to release anything that posed a national security threat. But here Cryptome is saying war will begin in July if these documents are not released. And you can take a look around and you can see Israel and Palestine. There are bombs going off right now today. Ukraine once again started their military offensive at the end of the 10-day ceasefire. The new IS leader has called on Muslims to ramp up jihad during Ramadan. They're parading around a Scud missile. And of course, America is involving itself in all of these foreign affairs while we're trying to deal with our own crisis here at the U.S. border. So with all of this going on, we've been reporting how the Pentagon has been studying civil unrest and what it really is the tipping point of civil unrest and how that kind of relates to social media. They seem to know that something is going to be happening, and they want to know how can they control it. So I think it's all kind of, curious. Now, we reported on how the Pentagon was researching the civil unrest, but now that ties in directly to that controversial Facebook experiment. Facebook manipulated nearly 700,000 users' news feeds to see whether it would affect their emotions. They would post negative content, and would users also start posting negative content? Would they feel more negative, and vice versa? Facebook's controversial emotional study subjecting unwitting users to a psychological conditioning experiment. It has direct ties to research that was funded by the Department of Defense concerning the likelihood of civil unrest. Now, the fact that Facebook unethically experimented on users into how their emotions can be swayed on social media by controlling the content is disturbing in and of itself. But the rabbit hole goes much deeper. Now, the research appears to be in part connected to the Minerva Initiative, which we reported on earlier this month. It provides funding to universities to model the dynamics, risks, and tipping points for large-scale civil unrest across the world. In other words, the DoD wants to master how to predict, prevent, manipulate, control, and even instigate mass civil unrest. And they want to do this by developing operational tools that are related to social, cultural, behavioral, and political forces. Now, within the official credits for the controversial Facebook study, Cornell University's Jeffrey T. Hancock is listed as an author. Hancock is also listed on the Pentagon's Minerva Initiative website, where it's noted that he received funding from the Department of Defense for a study called Cornell, Modeling Discourse and Social Dynamics in Authoritarian Regimes. Now, that article is in its entirety up on Infowars.com. It goes into greater detail about how the government is heavily invested in companies whose sole job is to track and monitor social media and how fast things spread through social media. And of course, We're being told that all of this is just for our safety, much like we're being told that smart technology is for the greater good. It's for the good of the environment. It's all, for the betterment of mankind. Meanwhile, it's actually to track and surveil our every move. Now, a CBS News report is touting the environmental benefits of new smart streetlights. They say the lights are being marketed as a fantastic energy-saving device because they have motion sensors which detect foot traffic, and it allows them to switch on and off only when required. And they imagine that all 4 billion outside streetlights may eventually all be connected in one global network. And this network will be a seamless grid of smart lights that are networked with surveillance cameras tracking an individual's every move. They're also going to be utilizing license plate recognition technology to store data about vehicles. Now, the CBS reporter Bill Whitaker says, in the future, the smart network could track every place we go, everything we buy, everything we do all the time. The technology is limitless, and obviously they're rolling out this technology faster than lawmakers are able to control how the information is going to be used. That's why we're seeing all sorts of CISPA, SOPA, PIPA things being passed through Congress, but this is advancing so fast, no one really knows how they're going to be able to utilize all of this information. Of course, we reported last year on the Intella street lights, which had the ability to record and analyze conversations on the street. So I'm sure that these smart lights are going to have that same upgrade with them as well. At the end of that CBS report, Charlie Rose says, Big Brother's watching, kind of in a tongue-in-cheek sort of way. And Big Brother is indeed watching, but it is not a good thing. It's not something that we should all just be getting used to.
The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding, making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment, pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
The brainwashing media machine has been turned up on high, and it's time for humanity to double down on the true people's media and strike back against the tyrants that are destroying our civilization with their lies and fraud. We are the resistance. You are the resistance. You are the info war. It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the info war to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv.